Luke, thanks for taking the time to do this.
Pleasure to be here. Thanks for
Now,
having me.
my first question for you is you've got like the most gorgeous washigeti that I've ever seen. What style did you learn that kick from?
Oh, the question mark kick. What'd you call
Yeah,
it? The
washigeti. That's the
Majige?
Japanese for,
Yeah.
now the roundhouse kick is what that is.
Yeah, the roundhouse. I mean, it's flexibility, I think, is everything really. Body control, flexibility, and just practice, man. It's really it's everything, and just like tearing tactical, shooting a gun. You're just doing it nonstop, and then perfecting the art of, of every aspect of it. So that. And I like to make
It's
I like,
simple
I
and you
like
can
to get I
land it.
like to get creative. You know what I
Right.
mean? And
Now,
let's sneak up on people.
you're a middleweight champ in UFC.
Mhm.
I've seen you fight a lot.
Yeah.
And here you are at the NRA annual meetings.
Yeah.
And of course, we're talking about gun rights and stuff here. Probably knowing your background, knowing who you are, you'll go, you don't need a gun. Why do you need a gun?
Yeah.
What's your answer to that?
I mean, you'd be surprised, man. I mean, I think it's just I'm not allowed to act on anything. I'm a lethal weapon technically. There's a lot of confrontations where people don't fight fair, and people don't. There's just very uncomfortable situations, and having a firearm just makes you feel a lot more comfortable. Like whether it's on you or at night. I mean, you just never know what's going to happen these days. Our rights have been taken from us, and you have to have that security. Whether you use it or not.
Well, it's a self-empowerment issue and it's an equalizer.
Yeah.
So in that vein, tiny little guy,
Yeah.
skinny little dude, could be as tough as you with a gun at a distance,
Yeah.
right? So it would make sense to me that you'd have to defend yourself in that regard and be behind that right.
100%, 100%. And it's just like the habit. I don't want to act on anything, and having a gun can sometimes, ice down the issues. I mean, make things a little more cordial.
It could lower the temperature.
They can lower the
Especially if
temperature,
you know it's there.
no doubt.
Did you grow up a shooter? How did you get involved in the gun community?
I didn't grow up a shooter per se, but as I grew through the ranks of fighting, and just, self defense is something I've always been big upon. Obviously, from the start of the get go. Started with slingshots when I was a kid. It does definitely. Actually, I had BB guns and all that, growing up. But I really got into guns as I became an adult. It's just something. It's a good way to release tension and protect yourself, and do all kinds of. There's so much about it. Cortisol is what we build up through fighting, and there's something about shooting guns and releasing that tension on the weekend and having some fun, and then obviously there's the Second Amendment and being able to protect ourselves and have that right as well.
When I've trained people to shoot, you see that smile go on their face, especially if it's their first time shooting.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's something about that self-empowerment and that control of that tool
Yeah.
that just grabs them. Now, training, UFC, so there's a lot of training. I think you do jiu-jitsu as well, right? Brazilian.
Yeah. I was jiu-jitsu. I was a blue belt and purple belt world champ, and then I transitioned into fighting. It was like wrestling. Wrestling wasn't enough, and then jiu-jitsu wasn't enough, and then fighting was everything, And then fighting wasn't enough. I had to shoot guns too.
Right. So
Gotta be badass in all realms.
now the stand-up fighting and being an all-around fighter,
Mhm.
are you training boxing or something else, or what are you training for the stand-up?
I do boxing. I do like, I have a kind of an interesting style. I believe in there's the Muay Thai. I believe it's too straight up. It's too I think of more of elusive, creative techniques. That's where the question mark kick comes from, and all that creativity. I think a lot of it came from my background surfing and skateboarding growing up. So I have this. I'm a right-handed southpaw, so I have more creative stance and I have more options. As a converted southpaw, you have more of a dominant right hand, and you have a lot more angles.
That makes sense of how you really land some of those kicks that you're doing when I'm watching, if that's your natural stance.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So I'm wondering, the training you're doing then in fighting,
Yeah.
have you been able to take that into the shooting world? Have you done much training with a gun? Have you gone to training schools and that sort of stuff?
I mean, Terran Tactical is a good friend of mine, and he ain't too far away from me, from where I live. So I get up there, and he puts me through the ringer, and I have a lot of options. I've gone on a lot of trips with some SEAL Team 6 guys, and I have a lot of good friends in the game. So I've had a very blessed opportunity to be around a lot of great shooters and learn from the best.
What are the similarities between the stances and the hand-eye stuff? Is there stuff that applies across both worlds for you? Was it easier for you to train with firearms because of all your training as a fighter?
I think I mean, attention to detail, I think, is the biggest thing in all life. Really, is just technique and details of just perfecting arts. So, Yeah, just hitting the target. You got to hit the target, right?
Okay.
And you can't hesitate. That's the biggest thing in life is hesitation. You can't hesitate. If you hesitate, you miss your opportunities. So diligently working through the process and not hesitating and seeing and visualizing the spots.
Now, what do you tell somebody? They come up to you, maybe a young woman, and she wants to be able to defend herself and says, okay, here's one of the baddest guys on the planet.
Yeah.
What do I do? Should I be taking some self-defense classes? Should I be taking shooting classes? Should I be doing both? What do you tell them?
Shoot, yeah, I mean, for a woman, for sure, first line of defense, of having a protective device on some level and knowing how to use it, for sure. Obviously, I would be versed in certain technical skills in fighting as well. Why not?
Getting the stance correct and they're moving correct and they're seeing the threat coming.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
imagine it all applies to both sets of your skills.
Yeah, it's just awareness. Awareness, I think, is one of the biggest things. It's not a safe world out there, and it's only getting less safe. I would say, our rights are being taken from us, and the police in California and LA, I mean, they don't do anything. They're like, criminals are being set free left and right, and we're walking the streets with these things, with these people everywhere. It's and that's a big reason why I'm more and more into this, and I believe people should have the right to protect themselves.
We're obviously important.
If the police aren't doing it,
Well, they're not allowed to do it.
They're
That's where
not.
we are.
Exactly.
They have thrown out a few DAs. They've done a few changes in California, not enough, not nearly enough.
Yeah.
And the Trump administration is now getting involved, saying, why are people getting pistol permits fast enough in California? Are you seeing any hope for change there, or it was just uphill battle?
I think there's a lot of hope. I think Trump is definitely going to help that process go through. I think there's a collaboration of people in LA, some big time businessmen, and people are really trying to take it back. And I think there is a bit of a movement. I hope so. I just know there's a lot of breaking and entering cars. My car was stolen by the Mexican mafia, and they obviously do nothing about it. You know what I mean? There's just people are walking the streets, and it's a lot of problems. But I think there is a movement, and people are starting to empower themselves and take it back.
Right. So
We all need to join together to do something. I mean, that's why I hear, and that's why I promote. What I do.
now you're working with a group in California, aren't you? That's other than the NRA, that's helping to bring people into the shooting sports,
Yeah.
learn how to defend themselves.
Yeah.
Tell us about that. What are you up to?
Yeah, I'm partnering with American Gun Owners. It's an online platform there's a lot of first-time gun owners, a lot of people that don't know what to do, don't know how to do it. We offer training services, safety courses, license, permits, online courses, and we will be offering, getting to the level of concealed carry for not the first-time gun owners, but you saw a big movement in California where people were going and emptying out ammo storages and everything, and people are getting their first guns, and people don't know what to get. So online is the future of everything, and we're offering a one-stop shop to get everything you need to understand the world, protect yourself, and get the most basic opportunities for the Second Amendment.
Right. I hope you're working with NRA certified instructors.
Yeah.
Great database there at nrainstructors.org, where people can go and find, even in California, local people. Like I recently interviewed a guy from LA Progressive Shooters, and is a guy on the left who all of his clients are pretty much people who were previously anti-gun, but they've come around to it because that's how dangerous California's gotten.
Yeah. I think I had a lot of friends that gave away their guns, like years ago, because there's this movement of people like no guns, but now everyone's like bringing it back because the rights and our protections have been taken away. So people need to know and understand. And I've wandered down to Orange County. It's a little more conservative and a little more, you feel a lot safer. The LA streets they're not as safe as they should be, and that's why I want to be a part of that movement.
When the good citizens have their freedom, it gets safer.
Yeah.
Where can people go to find out more about you, to follow you?
They can go. I mean, you can follow me on all socials. Just my name, Luke Rockhold. I got a lot of stuff going on right now. So back at it.
Thank you.
Thank you.